January 8th, 2002, Tuesday. Slept most of the day, but did get up and do some insights for my poems. I did about a dozen. Last night after I wrote my entry, I was reading Rollins's Black Coffee Blues and a part of it called 124 Worlds, which is basically 124 various short little stories. Some are a paragraph, some could be a page. They're just short, little ironic, quirky, violent, and sad stories. I have started to do some. I'm not copying Rollins, really, just an idea of his. I have all these little stories that I want to tell, and I feel that each one must be told in some grandiose way. Not true. If I have a story, albeit short, tell it the way you want. So far, I've written 1 through 9. That way I won't be pissed when some small little story of mine is wasted and never used. Most of them I just throw together and try and make a big story out of it, and that takes time. I'm going to keep doing this until I get to a number I feel is sufficient to call a collection, then start again. Marilyn called me from the hospital. She went to the doctor today because she was feeling really bad, and he said she needed to be put in the hospital. I went and visited her about 8 p.m., and she was in room 237. For those of you who know, The Shining. Halloween 6 paying homage to The Shining. No? Tangent. In The Shining, room 237 was the room Danny and the cook feared, and is also where Jack encounters the freaky naked chick. In Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, Kara is locked in a room, and paying homage to The Shining, the room number is 237. Back to the story. Marilyn's parents were there, and Morgan and some friends had just left. Not long after I arrived, so did Stephanie. I sat on Marilyn's bed by her legs and just stared at her, smiling and frowning. Although very sick and puffy looking, she was still very beautiful to me. She was watching Seventh Heaven for some reason, but anyway. I was looking at her, and she was looking at me, and we heard, "Because I need you to need me," come from the television. I heard it, and I believe she did. I nodded in agreement. So did she. I don't know if she was feeling and thinking what I was. At 9 p.m., I left and picked up some French vanilla coffee shit and went over to Kirk's. We played video games until about 12 a.m. I'm really enjoying Resident Evil Code Veronica X. It is a lot harder than the others, but very good. I got home and worked on the computer until almost 2:45 a.m. I did about 30 or more poem insights. It is a lot harder than I first thought it would be. I really cannot describe what a lot of my poems mean. I thought a lot about Rachel F. tonight. I don't recall if I have ever spoken about her in here before. I know I've written about her in a journal, but it must have been Mad Jack. Anyway, I met her junior year. She was friends with Brandon S. She stayed the night one night, and we had sex. I talked to her twice after that on the phone, but I've not seen her since. That was September of 1998. I thought, almost had a premonition, that I will someday cross her path. I really feel I will. On the same note, I also thought about this girl named Mindy, who I had met at Tuttle Creek back during the summer of 1997. We met and made out a few times, knowing we would never see one another again. I knew, though, even back then, that I'd still remember her. I told her that I'd be famous someday and told her to remember me. What made me think about this was watching the 2001 MTV Movie Awards. The rerun. And I imagined being up on that stage and making an announcement for her to call me. I know that if I ever did that, a lot of people would try to claim to be her, but luckily, although sadly for her, she has a very distinguishable mark, a heart surgery scar on her chest. I have a lot of stories from my past that I would love to tell. Someday I will start my collection of past events throughout my childhood, teens, and high school book. Finish Rollins's 124 Worlds, up to number 14 in my collection. Bedtime. End quote. It's what you think of yourself. No one else can judge you. No one knows you. You do what you do, and that's it. Henry Rollins, Black Coffee Blues.